Good morning and welcome to everyone. Let's begin our class on the balanced life with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Gurudeva, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Divine Mother, help us to balance our lives and open ourselves to thy inner guidance, thy love, and thy joy. Be with us in our satsang today. Om Shanti Shanti. Let's hear a song of Swamiji's, and then we'll listen to an excerpt from a talk by Swamiji on this topic. Welcome again.
Lord, may we serve you all our days, ever rejoice to sing your praise, as we together your wisdom seek. Charge us with truth whene'er we speak. Lord, may we ever know your will. Come to us when our thoughts are still, as we your guidance with joy receive. May we as one your bliss achieve. As we your guidance with joy receive, may we as one your bliss achieve.
What he was really talking about is what I wanted to get into today. What seems fanatical to some people may not at all be in opposition to the path of balanced living. What we want to do is discover that degree of balance that will enable us to go as fast as we can on the path. Balance in that case doesn't mean juggling all your worldly desires and still having a little time for God. It may mean that, but the essence of it is not that. The essence of it is the flywheel, which, if it's absolutely centered, you can spin it as fast as it can go, and it will still remain stable. But if a flywheel is a little bit off center, a little bit off balance, then the faster it goes, the more the pressures build up inside it, until finally they may become strong enough for the flywheel to just fly apart, explode. And so what we're trying to do is find that level of balance within ourselves that will enable us to race toward God, and not to consider racing in itself fanaticism. Master used the word fanatic in relation to the understanding of his audience, but his meaning was this, that we need to develop that degree of poise that will enable us to put a great deal of effort out without, as some people do, when they get on the path, they go too far in one direction. In fact, let's say that everybody does this in one way or another. At least in the beginning, they get enthusiastic, and a perfect example was that brother disciple at Mount Washington, whom I've told you about, those of you who live here, tended generally to be rather lazy. But every now and then he'd maybe read the life of St. Francis, or for one reason or another, get on a real kick. And he would post a note on his door, a long schedule of all the things that he would do that day, every day. And his schedule was extremely impressive. It began at 5 with some hatha yoga exercises, and then certain chanting, and it went on all through the day, all the things he was doing. Every minute was accounted for. And naturally, it was all very impressive, and for a day or two he sort of walked around with his nose in the air, looking down on all of us lazy bums. But by the third day, he'd had it, and he began slipping. And when he slipped far. In fact, finally, he ended up just slipping out of the community altogether. But during those times, we were just hopeless because we didn't have this great intense fervor and devotion and so on.
Welcome again, friends. I think this is a topic that we all need to hear and think about in our lives, because it's so easy to go in one direction too far and then the other direction too far. And I was watching some of the figure skating for the Olympic competitions, and I was just marveling at how the different competitors, how they could stay on those ice skates. And I've ice skated before, but nothing like that. I mean, nowhere near. And I was also thinking about skiing, and probably some of you have skied. I used to ski quite a bit. But to stay balanced, it's really not easy. And also one time I walked on a tightrope, believe it or not, but it was low to the ground. But I enjoyed that because I just had to keep very centered. Now, I have to say I was holding on to someone who was walking next to me, but sometimes I would take my hand away, and I was holding an umbrella to keep my balance. But we do various things that in our lives, they remind us of how centered we need to be on the spiritual path. And Master laid it out for us, how to be balanced. He talked about proper eating, proper diet, proper exercise, meditation, being with friends and family, serving others. I mean, the life that he laid out for us is very balanced. And we have to remember that if we live in that way, then we don't get pulled in one direction or another. But when we get off balance, you feel in yourself that the joy starts to diminish. You don't feel inspired to do different things. We go into extremes. And I was thinking about extremes with meditation. And Swamiji talked about that one fellow, but he talked about someone else who meditated for 40 hours at a time. But then afterwards, he didn't get the result that he wanted. So he said, oh, I'm going to leave here. And that's what happens. You put sort of all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, and then it doesn't work the way you want. He needed to be more centered, more balanced in meditation. It's a long rhythm as we meditate. And people who sit and say, I want an experience right now, it doesn't happen. And also, I was thinking about service, that people go to the extreme with service. And I certainly have done that in my life. And just all the time serving. Then you like, oh, I'm too tired to meditate now because I've been serving so long. But you have to find the fine balance between service and meditation. Master said service helps your meditation. Meditation helps your service. But you have to find the fine balance between the two. And I remember one time I remember two different things I wanted to say. One was about meditating all the time. There was someone who was at Ananda Village, and he never did anything, but he said, no, I'm meditating, leave me alone. And what's interesting, something to remember, because he didn't put out enough energy in other ways to help other people, he fell. He left the path. And I was thinking of the doing so much in Seva that you get off balance. That I remember I asked Swamiji for advice in my spiritual life. This was really one of the only times I asked him to give me advice on what I needed to do to improve myself. And do you know what he said to me? He asked me a question. He said, do you ever take a day off? That was his question. And he was right. I was imbalanced. I was just doing. And so we have to remember that to bring the two together is important. And when you think about it, it's not this or that, is both and. There was that fellow who Swamiji met, who he said when he comes home from his work, that's when his spiritual life begins. I take my bath, I put on my dhoti, and I go in my meditation room. And Swamiji thought, what a waste of the whole day. The whole day should be centered in God consciousness. This is why Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Then all these things shall be added unto you. And we have the example of our gurus. We think of Master when he ran off to the Himalayas and he didn't find what he was looking for there. So he came back to Swami Sri Yukteswarji, his guru, who told him that he wouldn't find what he wanted. Our life isn't a life of going to the Himalayas, of roaming by the Ganges, of sitting in a cave, meditating for hours, of doing nothing. And I tell you something that was shocking to me that Swamiji said, because I asked him after reading something in the Gita, essence of the Bhagavad Gita, I said, Swamiji, what happens to people if they can't meditate all those hours in a cave in the Himalayas or, in seclusion? And he said, Master said they become bums. Wow, I was shocked. He said they don't have enough energy to do it. So they're sitting there, then they talk, they gossip, they do whatever. Now, this isn't everyone. There are some great, great souls who can be alone, but most people can't. Most people need the balance. But we look at our Master's lives, and when Master came back to Swami Sri Yukteswarji, I love what he said, poor boy, mountains couldn't give you what you wanted. And he slaps him on the chest, and Master, he just breaks out of his body and he goes into samadhi. It's an autobiography of a yogi. You can read that chapter, an experience of cosmic consciousness. But the most wonderful part beyond that is when he comes back into his body, he drops down at his guru's feet to thank him. And Swami Sri Yukteswarji picks him up and he says, fetch a broom and let's sweep the balcony. And he was showing him, don't get over drunk with God, balance your life out. And also with Lahiri Mahashaya Ji, that he met Babaji. Babaji manifested a golden palace with all kinds of beautiful things in it for his Kriya Yoga initiation, diamonds and rubies and all. And afterwards, any foods that he wanted, he just manifested them. And then afterwards, he says, now you can't stay here. I mean, he must have wanted to be there with Babaji. So you can't stay here. You have to go back to your family, go back to your job, go back to your responsibilities and show people that they need to live a balanced life. And thus Lahiri Mahashaya came. And besides that, Babaji said, go and give Kriya so that we'd have a tool that we can stay balanced in ourselves and we could know how to go forward in a responsible life with family, with children, with responsibilities. But also knowing that when you have that consciousness, our balance comes from inside. It doesn't come from getting everything set up. Okay, now I'm balanced. No, you're not balanced. It comes from balance in yourself, centered, Kendra, being centered in your spine, centered in higher consciousness and awareness and inspiration. That's what balance is about. And then you'll make the right decision. You'll go to the right place. You'll call the right people. You'll exercise. You'll get up in the mornings. You'll eat the proper foods. But without that inner balance, you won't have it. And I recall there was a time when there's several things, but the one was we were in Italy with Swamiji. And I remember how he gave us such a wonderful life there. It was difficult and all, and this is the time I really started spending a lot of time with Swamiji. And he made it so joyful, so balanced. We would go for boat rides on the lake. We lived in Lake Como. He would take us for nice meals at beautiful places, restaurants, for lunch, for dinner. We'd go to hot chocolate shops in Switzerland. We'd have hot chocolate. He just made our life balanced. And in Ananda Village, he would, when things got so, tight and tense, Swamiji would pull out P.G. Woodhouse and he would read a humorous story. It was always about balance, keeping yourself in balance. And even Swamiji used to like to go to Disneyland, and he would take people with him, Disneyland, just to be able to enjoy and have fun. And he would watch movies. Typically, there would be Disney movies, but sometimes other movies. But it wasn't like he said, no, just meditate. You just meditate and then go serve and then come back and meditate and go serve. He made the life a real life. And it's the life that Master gave us. And Master would hold you to being clear, being uplifted, being centered in yourself, and then going about your duties. After you meditate, go into your life with clarity, with centeredness, with harmony, with balance. And there was a time when one of the nuns had a very deep experience in meditation with Master, and came and told Master, and Master told her, oh, that's wonderful. Now I want you to go to the department store and buy some things for me. And she thought, now? He said, go now. He was training her that in yourself, if you're centered, you can go, you can be anywhere, centered in yourself and balanced in yourself. And she went and she did what he said. And interestingly enough, Swamiji told us that in the same talk, he said that Master told him to do less meditation at a particular time and write articles for the magazine that they had. And he thought, why is he asking me to do less meditation? I thought he wants to meditate. But he told Swamiji, if you had not done what I asked you to do, you'd have been gone long ago, because you needed to balance out your life. You needed to balance intellectuality with devotion. You needed to have things to do with your mind. Of course you did. You couldn't starve your mind just to say that you're meditating. And so for all of us, we need to look at, where do we stand? Where do we need to balance in ourselves? And there's some people who say, no, I'm just serving my family. Later on, I'll meditate, I'll get the balance. But that doesn't happen. Later on, you're sick, maybe in the hospital, things happen. But that's not balance either. They don't meditate, they don't serve. It's just all about family. And so look in your life and see, how do I need to balance head and heart, meditation with service, family life with being with Guru Bhais. There are so many things that we need to balance out, being and doing, and giving and receiving, and balancing head and heart. And look at yourself. I would say, if you're able, we're going to do an introspection workshop coming up on Saturday in Gurgaon, and we're going to look at, where do we need to improve ourselves? How do we need to balance ourselves? And don't feel like, no, I'm fine, I'm balanced. Typically, you're not. And what happens later, if you aren't, is you run up against difficulties, mental difficulties as well. You can get mentally imbalanced. Also, you can leave the path, like the fellow I told you about at Anand. And I saw a lot of people doing various things, not following the guidance of the Guru, saying, this is how you remain balanced, centered, for the long haul, for the long rhythm on the path. You can't be an extremist. And so look at your life and ask the masters, ask Master to help you to become balanced in yourself. And then everything you do, come from that center, come from that balance, and then everything will work out for the best. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Meditate first, serve, have satsang, chant, serve your family, do everything, but with the thought of God. And when you bring God into everything, everything turns out beautifully. God bless you all. And I'll ask Nitendra to join me on the screen now. We have a couple of questions.
Thank you, Dhyana ji. Let me share my screen. Dhyana ji, the first question is, especially during the New Year time, I have spurts of inspiration to do a lot more sadhana, then later on I lose enthusiasm. So how can I keep it going, or am I doing something wrong?
Okay. those spurts do come, especially at the beginning of the year, Master's birthday, maybe Swamiji's birthday, Guru Purnima, maybe Swamiji's discipleship day. There's certain times when you just feel, because I believe it's true, it's in the ether. There's a grace period. And if you get into that grace period, you can go far. But grace is only one part. Self-effort is the other. So you can't just sort of ride on the cloud of grace. During that time, you have to pick up. And I find that if I write things down, it's better. However you want to do it, on your computer, on your phone, if I write it down, this I will do. And the other thing I was telling another group the other day is that, another class, is that don't overdo and don't over exaggerate. Oh, like you've never exercised in your life. Now I'm going to start running, and I'm going to run and run every day. And I just like, start with what you can do and build. Use common sense and reason. Build. Like I said, for myself, I said, okay, whatever I'm doing with meditation now, the amount of time, I'm just going to do a little more. I didn't say how much more, when, I'm just going to do a little more. And the time that the amount of kriyas that I do, I'm just going to do a few more. So that could be a whole lot more. It could be, a little bit more. It could be in between, but don't make unreasonable resolutions. They usually, what day is today? The 12th or something? Or most people they've lost their resolutions already for the new year. They haven't done them. So just be comfortable in yourself, and you'll find that it gets better. The other thing is, don't get down on yourself that, oh, I didn't do it, I'll never do it, it'll never happen. What Swamiji would say, I haven't yet succeeded, not I failed. So I haven't yet succeeded, but I'm still trying. If it's a diet, if it's not working on your emotions, if it's getting more exercise and meditating more, keep trying. And then you find that if you keep trying, Divine Mother opens the door, and she really helps you at a certain point. And so don't get down on yourself, but don't be lazy and say, no, God will do it, Guru will do it for me. Master said, my blessing's there. God's blessing's there. Where's your blessings? Add your blessing, and I'm sure you'll find that you can go far, especially when we're thinking of the beginning of the year.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. The next question is, sometimes I like to have diversions to rest my mind, like watching a movie, going shopping, or maybe being with friends. Is that wrong?
I heard Swamiji say that Master encouraged diversions at different times, just for that reason, to rest your mind, don't be so tense. I remember one time I went down, I've said this maybe to this class before, but Swamiji asked me to come and help him to unpack or something. And because I used to live pretty close to where he lived. And so I got down there, it was like 9 o'clock at night or something. And Swamiji says, oh, thank you so much for coming. And I said, only if I were dead would I not come down here. And he said, relax, it's not such a big deal. But I wasn't kidding. Only if I were dead would I not show up. And so we can't have that attitude. It's too tight. And so when you find that, okay, I've got to get to class, I find if I can do something, take a walk, watch a nice movie, talk to a friend, go visit a friend or whatever, I come back, I'm just fresh. You need to have freshness, and not, that it's just, I have to do it, I've got to do it. And you see some people, they're just so tight, and people who are fasting all the time, or they meditate all the time. And if they look at their face, is their joy. Once the joy goes, I say, time to stop. I'm not joyful anymore. And you see people, their faces all twisted, and I'm fasting for 40 days. You just say, eat something, just balance yourself. And so don't get so wound up that you can't even do anything properly. exercise, see your friends, watch a movie, go to a movie, whatever, what things that eat something that you like. At certain times you feel like, no, I can never eat anything sweet anymore. Well, I think that's pretty harsh. Have a piece of chocolate if you want it, but don't go overboard. I think that's the point of it. Balance yourself and you'll find that you can enjoy things. I loved the life Swamiji showed us. It was so balanced, so fun, so joyful. And we served and served and served and served a lot and meditated a lot too. So it was very balanced. So seek that in your life.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. We have a couple of questions on the practical side of things. The first one is, what is the right amount of time to meditate if we are saying we want a balanced life for someone who's been on the path for several years?
Yeah, it depends on how long that several years is. But if it's been a while, Swamiji told us, aim for 3 hours a day. And for some people, it also depends if you have 5 children. I mean, you can meditate 3 hours a day. If you have 2 jobs, you probably can meditate 3 hours a day. If you're ill in bed, you can meditate 3 hours a day. So it's up to the person's situation. But aim, how about that word? Aim for that. And so I would say that's what he told us. And so I'm not going to make it less. Aim for that. And depends on your situation. But here again, I find when people have the time, they're not doing more. They're going and doing all kinds of other things. So be honest with yourself. If you really want to meditate more, set a goal for yourself and try to do that much. Don't overdo it. But I think what I like to do is if I don't do as much as I like during a week, you got to have that time once a week where you meditate more, longer. You're not rushing to work. You're not tired because you just got home from work. It's your free day, your day off, and you can just do more Hangsa, more Om, more Kriya. So just try to balance that out. But 3 hours is a good amount of time. If for a new person, an hour and a half in the mornings, when you take Kriya, you have to be meditating at least an hour and a half. So I don't think anybody here is below that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that right? Don't start cutting back after you get Kriya though. It's like, now I've made the requirement. So now I'll go back to 20 minutes a day. No, that doesn't work either.
Yeah. And on the Seva side, Dhyanaji, so what's the right amount of time every week to do Seva for the Guru?
That's a wonderful question too. It'll depend on your situation again. If you're free, you don't have responsibilities and you have time and you're sitting on the couch watching one movie after the other, then I would say serve a lot. Sign up for, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours a day if you can. It depends. If you have the time and you have the willingness, you have energy, you have a clear mind, and you're not doing anything, I would say do a lot and contact either the center leader where you are or home study or Hindi Sangha or, the various department heads or groups and leaders and find some way to serve. You get so much joy from it. And you can meditate so much better. Anytime, I was telling someone the other day, anytime you feel a little bit, because this person was serving, they were making phone calls. And I said, that's a real winner. When you feel like your energy is going down during the day. And I used to do this all the time. I love it. You just pick up the phone and call a guru. How are you? Call somebody who's in need, somebody who's ill. How's it going? Can I help you in some way? Everybody can do healing prayers, my goodness, and call somebody on the healing prayer list. Can I help you? Is there something I can do? So that's a real secret, is serving. So getting back to the number, I would say, 1 hour, 2 hours a day, half an hour. at least at the end of your meditation, pray for other people. And everybody can do that for whatever amount of minutes that is. If you can do more, do more. Saturday, Sunday, maybe you have more time, go over to the center and serve all day. I mean, there's nothing like serving with your Guru Bhais. It's such a joyful time. And you don't feel like it's work at all, because it's not. It's all joy for Guruji. So that would be my answer.
Thank you so much, Dhyanaji. One final question is, how can I balance my head and the heart?
That's a big one, isn't it? Because some people are so mental, they don't feel anything. Other people are so in the heart that they're completely emotional. And you need the balance. I'd say the person I saw who was the best, most balanced like that was Swamiji. He was brilliant. But Master told him, you have to get devotion. So Swamiji got a harmonium. He started chanting. He prayed to Divine Mother to give him devotion. And he balanced right out. And many of you saw that near the end of his life, he could barely give a talk without tears starting to flow down his face. He was in communion with God. And so how do you do that? You have to see which end of it you need to improve. If you're very intellectual, get a harmonium or chant with the chants, play Swamiji's music, read Whispers from Eternity, be with people who are more bhakti, more devotional, go to kirtans, get in a kirtan group if you can. There's nothing like chanting God's name. Then you don't think about anything but that. If you're on the emotional side, you have some work to do. You've got to work on yourself. You can, after meditation, bring the energy up to the spiritual eye, do Kriya, feeling energy coming up to this point, at the point between the eyebrows. Do affirmations to be able to strengthen yourself, energize more, do more Mahamudra or yoga to be able to get the energy flowing properly in the heart. If it's just stuck there, you're going to have emotional outbursts. Oh, I don't know, I want this, I want that. Don't go there. It's no fun. And if you balance, you can see from the pictures of babies, you can barely tell, from the face, if it's feminine or masculine. And at the end of one's life, it's like that a lot too. You look at Master. I remember Swamiji said once someone saw a picture of him in his car, I think it was. Is that your I don't know, some feminine person. And Master looked that way. He looked feminine and masculine. And so, I mean, that's surely your energy gets that way. When you meditate a lot and, on the path for a while, you don't feel either one. You just feel right centered in yourself. If you need masculine energy, you've got it. If you need feminine energy, you've got it. You're right in the middle. So it's not one or the other, it's both and everyone needs to work on them. So I would suggest those things for balancing between the two. Anything else there, Nitendra?
No, Dhyanaji, that was the last question.
Okay. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you, Nitendra. Bye.